Okay, so I'm just going to give you some examples of the, go away, of the different ways you can show the wall details for different scales. And so you've got here the wall that I've already done, which I'm going to change into a brick veneer wall. So I'll just clear the hatch out, and so then you can see I've got a layer that I've already set up. Unfortunately it's a bit hard to see that, and so I'll just bring this up. So I've got a wall layer there, and so I'm going to change that to a more specific name. So at the moment it's just called A wall. So we'll call that A wall, well, A wall stud, or have you been calling them exterior and interior? Yeah. Right, so we can call it A wall interior, I suppose.
But when you say, like, when you're talking stud,
Yeah.
what exactly does that mean?
The stud frame. So the studs are the vertical pieces.
Is actually like within the frame.
Exactly, yeah. And so this will really be for my lining. And so then I'll make another layer and call it A wall exterior, or I'm just in the habit of using material, so I'd call it brick or masonry, but you could call it exterior if you like. And I'm just going to make it a slightly different colour, and I'll leave it the same heavy line weight. So then I'll just check that size. So I'm going to measure that wall. It should be 100, and so that's standard for timber frame. And then I can simply use offset and
The stud.
it is, yeah.
So that's the bit of the wall, and then on top of that, on the interior side and the exterior side, you have like a
The lining, yeah, you will. In reality, the stud framing won't be 100, so you can reduce the studs if you like. So that's up to you. But definitely a cavity should be 50, so I'm going to offset 50 mil there to the outside to make my my brick wall, and I'm only going to take it up to here. So there I'm going to explode that line and just delete the parts that I don't need. So I can take those out, and so I'm just leaving the two segments there, and then again I'll offset 110 to get the other side of my brickwork, and then I'll just fillet both lines together. So checking that my radius is 0. At the moment it's not, so I'm going to go to radius and then type 0, enter, and then I can choose my two lines I want joined together. And I'll select all of those and put them onto the wall exterior layer. And so that's really all the detail you need, apart from the hatching, if you're working at a scale like 1 to 100. So we can then, if we zoom out, have a look at any other connections. So if this was a continuing wall, which it may well be, then you would have the, sorry, where's my layers? Interior wall continuing below that, and then this, you can see why polylines after a while get in the way. Yeah, so you can just explode them. They'll save you a bit of time at first. Yeah. And so now it's easy to fillet that with the one below. Stretch that down. And here I'll just use stretch to get both of those lines together, and then just bring it down to line up with that. And so strictly speaking, you should have a break line there, but I'll just draw a regular line, and that'll give me something to hatch up to. And then I'll need something on the other end as well. So it's same here, and so I'll just do that quickly. And then just a line there, because otherwise it won't let you hatch. So then just using a hatch, so here you'd want to have a layer for that. I do have a wall hatch layer that I can use, and then using the hatch command or hatch tool. Then you have patterns. So there, if you don't see the patterns you want, make sure it does have pattern selected. And then in your where are my list of patterns here on the left, you can find the ANSI 34. Also, ANSI 32 is the brick hatch. That's steel. So ANSI 32. Some people use 31 for some reason, but that's not the proper brick hatch pattern. So you'll see over here, that's what a brick hatch should look like. Once again, ANSI 32. Oh, ANSI, so it's American National Standards Institute is what the ANSI's from. Yeah, and then 32, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to choose inside there, and you can see it's giving me a very dense pattern. So once it can preview it, which it might take a minute to do, but there we are. So there, it's previewing the pattern, and you can see it looks solid because it's so dense. So if you know the scale you're working at, so here remember I'm giving you an example for 1 to 100, try that scale in your hatch scale. So here I'd be aiming for 1 to 100 print, and now if I go down and try to click inside that area, you can see there it's giving me a reasonable size. But if you want to adjust it afterwards, it's easy. You can just select that, and then we'll try some different scales. So I'll try 200. You'll see that'll give me a bigger spacing. Again, it's one of those things with AutoCAD where 2.5 times seems to work. I think it goes back to that metric conversion. So 250 is probably okay for 1 to 100. No, unfortunately, hatches don't scale the same way as other things. So you need to just set a scale factor you think is going to work in all your drawings, and that's just the way AutoCAD works. Yeah, but I mean, look, it's okay to have different sized hatches, just like you've got here, where you can see that hatch is bigger than this one. So it's okay if it looks like you've zoomed in on the pattern. So there you could even have a different scale, and it's really just a visual thing. You're not doing an image of the bricks. So it's just a graphical symbol, and really it just is a matter of what you think looks good. So that's good enough for brickwork. And then if we're going to do this for 1 to 50, you draw in your studs. So again, I'll make a layer for those so that I can turn them off. You could do it on your interior layer, but I'll make a new one and call it a wall stud, or studs, but a wall stud will do. and I'll just make it yet another colour. Oops, sorry, I meant to make that current layer. Just get rid of that. And I'll make that have, oh, that's 0.25, that's okay. And so then what you could do is put these lines on that stud layer as well. So they have a lighter line weight. And then draw in your studs just using lines. You can use it, make a block if you really want to, but lines are fine. And so this is something where, again, you can use your judgment a little bit. This is the normal way of showing them. So strictly speaking, they're being cut, so you could show them with a heavy outline, but it just looks a bit messy if you do that. So it's nicer to have the outside of the wall shown with a heavy line, and then all of that inner detail with a lighter line weight. So I'll offset this 50mm, and that'll give me a typical stud. So 100 by 50 is the way that they're often drawn, and I don't think you need to specify sizes anyway for this assignment. You just need to show the assembly, how it all goes together. And I doubt in here any of these drawings are going to indicate size as well. That's, so some of them do. Here we go. So 50 by 50 they tell you is the size of that blocking piece, but otherwise most of the sizes have been left out, and that's typical. So like I was saying, you can draw them 100 by 50, and so just think about how it needs to go together for the construction to work. So I'll offset this 50 as well. You can show them with a cross, so like this.
When you say you work out where to go based on how the construction works,
Yeah.
how do they stagger stuff across a long, like a wall like this?
Yeah.
Like, is it just based on plasterboard sheeting and mostly bolted in?
Yeah. So the 450 spacings is okay. You can go to 600, but 450 is good. And so I don't think there are any even notes here about that. No. So I'm just going to copy this across with there we are. Copy. Select all these right to left. Yeah, 450 centres, and so that's going to give you, let's see, no, sorry, if you've got, well, it depends on your board size, but, well, 450 is good, but if you're using standard board, then that's going to be 1200, so you might want to do 600 spacings just to keep it simple. For now, so again, I'll just copy these across 600. And look, they'll work this out on site usually, depending on what sort of timber and other things you specify. So you don't need to worry too much about it as long as you indicate the general construction. Oh yeah, the windows work around. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, normally you can just use the standard spacings and work with that. But yeah, if you've got things that need to be supported from the wall structure, you have to add extra. Yeah, but you only show that in the detail, so they don't need to be shown in your main floor plan. And you don't need to work out all the studs in your structure, as long as, again, you've got an idea how it all is connected. And so the main thing here is that we have a stud in at the corners, so they've got something to nail the plasterboard to. So again, I can just copy one down. I'll just do a 600. and then the rest I can just copy by selecting and then using copy, snapping to the previous one from my base point, and then snapping to each one subsequently. You could use array as well, but this doesn't take very long, just to see how copy works as well if you're not using it this way. So once you've done a few, you can copy them as a group. Yep. So again, I'll just use copy. Notice I didn't select the first one there because now I can use it as my base point, and they'll be all set out from there using that measurement. So that's pretty typical. And then once you get to the corner here, so you'd have again one that snaps into the corner, another one that would be here, so I'll copy that again from there to there, and then the other one going the other way, I'll copy it from here so I don't have to draw it again, picking it up on the corner, and then that can go down into this corner here, and so there you'd have a double stud, so you'd have another one next to it for the door jamb. Yep. And so here, that door would be okay for say 1 to 100, but once you get to a 1 to 50, you'd need to show more detail, so you might explode that if it's a block. And then you can modify it as you need to. And I've gone over time, but I'll just finish this. Oh, we've got a line there anyway, that's weird. Yeah, so I'll just adjust this so at least the door jamb's the width I want. I'll probably end up redrawing most of this. That's a pretty terrible door anyway, so I'm going to delete that arc and I'll redo it. And then with fillet, on fillet you can join these again, and so it's just a matter of refining what you've drawn. Check that distance between the door jambs. It is 820, so this line should be that same length, 820. It's not, so typical. Yeah, the doors that you get from blocks are usually pretty awful. So I'll just draw in a new line that's 820 long, and offset, no sorry, just drawing an arc for now, using start center end. Center end, that fits perfectly now. Put that on the right layer. Oops. And these better go on the door swing, the door jamb layer. So you definitely want to show the door thickness here. You probably don't need a lot of extra detail. You don't really need to show the door jamb at 1 to 50. So having a jamb shown just with a rectangle like you can see over here is okay, but then when you go to 1 to 20 you'd have extra detail, and I'll go through that next week when doing openings anyway. But here you would definitely want to show the door thickness, so I'm just offsetting 35 for that, and I'll just do some extra lines. And then you just continue with studs over on the other side, so I'll trim again to tidy this up, and then that's ready for the stud work. So all that hatching can go. So is it treated pine? I think it is for no, not for no, they don't. No, that's an extra thing. But oh, would they these days? I know I think they have. No, I don't think they're even treated for fire. Yeah, I don't think so. They're just standard stud work. I know for posts and things like that, you often need to specify treated pine. But I think just for normal studs, it's just rough sawn timber, and I don't think it's got any special treatment. I should know because I've done reports on that sort of timber, but it's just a standard standard kind of timber anyway that you use. So anyhow, I'll go into that more with you next week. But anyhow, that's the basic way you can show your stud work and your brickwork as well. The final thing there is you might want an extra layer to show this line, or a good quick way is you can make that part of your hatch layer, which will at least give it the lighter line weight. So that's a nicer way, and then you're following their true drawing convention, having the outline of your wall with a heavy line weight, and then all of those internal parts with a lighter line weight. So if you're wondering, they're 0.35 on the outside, and then the inner lines I've just made 0.25. So anyhow, I'll finish that video there.